Samsung's Unpacked September 2025 happened last week and I got my hands on the Galaxy S25 FE after that. Some might say that this phone isn't exactly new, but I'm not here to argue about that. There are certainly some new things here actually. So hit the like and subscribe button and let's get into it. The Galaxy S25 FE is certainly sporting a brand new look. One big change is the back panel. It's no longer using a glossy glass finish like the S24 FE and it's now using a matte panel. That makes all of the 4 different color options great to look at and also great to touch. The Samsung logo is definitely feeling a bit weird here when I brush my finger across. Yeah, I just want to highlight that. The frame is also trimmed down slimmer to only 7.4mm and also weighs in at 190 grams. These two are significant changes. What's not changed though is basically the screen panel. We still have the 6.7-inch dynamic AMOLED 2X display with a resolution of 2340 by 1080 pixels and also goes up to 120Hz refresh rate. As expected, the maximum auto brightness is around 1200 nits, just like the S24 FE. With the default settings of vividness level 1, yields very good color accuracy already. We can then go into the settings menu and turn it up to vividness level 3 and get around 100% of sRGB and 97% of DCI-P3 color gamut coverage. As a quick recap, turning up the vividness slider is going to make the DCI-P3 color gamut coverage go up as well, and you will get more saturated colors on your screen. If you find your eyes getting tired easily when you look at the screen, then just turn down the vividness level to level 2 or level 1 and it might help. By the way, for anyone asking, this phone is using an optical under-display fingerprint scanner. Personally, I would still prefer a physical fingerprint scanner either at the side or at the back, but under-display fingerprint is mostly for show, I would say. What's also not changed here is actually the performance. The Galaxy S25 FE is still using the Exynos 2400 chipset. Now, this chipset was announced back in October of 2023 and was first found in the S24 series in January of 2024. So basically, this chipset is about 2 years old at this point? Yeah, I also did a gaming test for this phone, mainly because I am curious about how it actually performed in games, mainly because I am curious how much has changed due to optimizations and also game updates. Many games have switched over to Vulkan API as Android 15 also switched over to Vulkan. During our gaming test, which you can watch the video at the top right corner there, the full video I mean, we put our minds back in the days of early 2024. And yeah, it's pretty much basically in line with what we had back then. Samsung said that the S25 FE has a 10% larger vapor chamber, but that won't really help much since it is a passively cooled phone and our gaming tests last for a very long time and most phones in those tests will thermal throttle anyway. At the highest graphical settings, Genshin Impact is getting around like 30 FPS when it did thermal throttle, so nothing out of the ordinary here. Actually, Genshin's switch to Vulkan really did improve the performance and efficiency compared to what we had back in the days of the S24 series. Xenozone Zero is a supremely demanding game that even the highest end smartphones will drop down to its knees, and at the highest graphical settings, the Exynos 2400 here managed to hover at around 25 FPS. It's actually playable, though lowering the settings is definitely necessary for a better experience. Higher frame rate is definitely better for an action game like this, so you can tune it to however you want. Wuthering Waves is an interesting one as we dialed it up to the maximum graphical settings and also switch over to Vulkan API. It still managed to run around 30 FPS with a supremely high render resolution. Again, we can dial down the graphics to get a higher frame rate, but using Vulkan API alone really does improve things a lot. I also want to quickly mention about War Thunder here as it does have ray tracing and we can get around 100 FPS on the S25 FE. That is just the X-Clips GPU flexing its muscle thanks to AMD's technology. Overall, Exynos 2400 held up really well, honestly speaking. Do remember that we are playing it at the highest graphical settings too. However, I do wish that Samsung would use the Exynos 2500 in the S25 FE instead of the Exynos 2400. Yeah, it could be due to the looming issues over the Exynos 2500's yield rate, or maybe Samsung has moved past it and looking forward to the Exynos 2600. Who knows? The other thing that hasn't changed is the rear camera's hardware. All three of them are still using the same sensor and lens, but the changes are within the software as it is now using the upgraded Pro Visual engine that is also found on the Galaxy Z Fold 7 and Z Flip 7. In some scenes, it looks absolutely stunning and the algorithms worked its magic and made it look great across all three cameras. Certain scenes, the white balance is a bit inconsistent, but that could be due to the frame of the scene. Also, some pictures will have shifting exposure due to the super shifty weather that switched between cloudy and sunny in a split second throughout the entire time I was there. One thing I can say for sure is that the 3x telephoto camera quality is just kinda subpar. I mean, sometimes it's a bit more noisy than what I would like, but otherwise, I'm just glad that there is a 3x telephoto camera. The selfie camera did indeed get an upgrade. I'm not much of a selfie guy, so here's a very basic shot. By the way, the Galaxy S25 FE also supports all Galaxy AI features that we know and love on the flagships. One of my absolute favorite is going to be audio eraser because it can do some magic like this.
So I'm very sure a lot of people will say, hey, this place is very noisy, right? What does the audio eraser do? Well, quite literally, magic, because it mitigates a lot of the other noise and just only highlights your voice.
Yes, we can remove the background noise and only have my sound go through, or block my sound entirely and just listen to the ambient noise. Maybe you just want to partially remove the background noise? That's also possible too. There are many other features within the Galaxy AI suite, but the audio eraser is easily one of my favorites. So now let's talk about the software. The Galaxy S25 FE does come with One UI 8 on top of Android 16. It's basically identical to the Z Flip 7 software, as all of the features found there are also found here too. One UI 8 is super smooth to use and also fully customizable thanks to Good Lock, so take your time to explore and make it uniquely yours. You can check out our video at the top right corner there regarding the best settings for the S25 Ultra, as all of those settings are applicable here too. Another improvement to the S25 FE though is actually the battery life. It's now using a larger battery of 4900 mAh and it can last for around another hour more in our standardized battery life test compared to the S24 FE, which is also in line with what we'd expect since it is using the same chipset and display anyway. Another big upgrade is actually the charging speed. It is now compatible with 45 watts of USB PD PPS, which is the same as the S25 Ultra. When we did our charging test, it only takes up to around 45 watts peak, but only for a small period of time. It takes around 70 minutes to charge completely, so that's about it. Pretty much in line with the S24 Plus, I would say. And a few more things to mention here. The Galaxy S25 FE has a USB 3.0 port at the bottom and also supports Samsung DeX, which is great, and it also has dual SIM card slots. And like any other Samsung flagships, it is also rated for IP68 water and dust resistance. The question now becomes, should you buy the Galaxy S25 FE? Well, I'd say yes. Okay, before you head down into the comment section and be angry, hear me out. The Galaxy S25 FE is priced at $709.99 US dollars for the 256 gigs version, now discounted to $650 US dollars or 3,100 ringgit Malaysia. While that sounds high, it's actually lower than the S24 FE for us here in Malaysia, but the same USD pricing. With that said though, the price is still high, there's no denying that. But Samsung did have a huge discount for the S24 FE down to around like 2,099 ringgit Malaysia, and I think the same will happen for the S25 FE too. When that happens, the S25 FE becomes really affordable. While it is similar to the S24 FE, I would still suggest you to get the S25 FE if the price gap isn't too huge. You do get another year of Android OS upgrades and security patches because of the release date, and also an upgraded selfie camera if you care about that. Still, I do think that Samsung should have used the Exynos 2500 in the S25 FE. So do let us know, what do you think about this new Galaxy S25 FE. Will you get it or will you not? Let us know down in the comment section below, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button, and check out all of our other videos about this phone too. I would still say, for I would say yesteryear flagship specs, it's actually commendable. Yeah.